Welcome to Hospitality Folks, a podcast about the people behind great hospitality. I'm your host, Alicia Dick-Wahlberg. Join me as we talk with hotel teams, managers, and operators about hiring, culture, and what it really takes to build teams that perform at high levels and stay. Today, I'm excited to be joined by someone who's been pushing the boundaries of modern hospitality, Julius Anders. Julius has built his career from the ground up, going from hospitality education to global luxury hotels in London, all the way to leading operations and scaling innovative hospitality concepts across Europe. Currently just took a step back from being operation director and general manager of DACH at Numa, where he helped redefine what tech-enabled stays can look like, blending efficiency, design, and guest experience. He's now currently on the hunt for his own adventure. He's focused on helping hospitality businesses scale smarter, integrating technology, automation, and new operating models to future-proof the industry. In today's conversation, we're diving into something that sits at the heart of every great hospitality career: how to find your passion, the role mentorship plays in shaping your journey, and what it really means to lead and inspire the next generation of talent in our industry. Julius, welcome so much to the show. It's so great to have you here. I am so excited to have you on this episode of Hospitality Folks.
Thanks for having me, Alicia. I'm Julius, and I work in the world of hospitality. That's, I think, how you best describe it. I have classic background, studied hotel management, worked through the traditional hotel industry, the Mandarin Orientals, the Corinthias, the lifestyle industry. And my recent stint was 6 years at Numa, building digital first operator from 0 to 160 plus properties in the last 6 years. And now I'm out there venturing new ideas. I've actually started as operations director for the entire organization, so Europe-wide, so built the structure the first 5 years roughly. And then it just became so big that we said we got to decentralize and build regional structures. And then I took over the DACH market for the last year. Exactly.
That's an amazing task for anyone. Could you maybe talk a little bit about your experience building this huge location from the operations side?
I think in general, you need to consider startup. Yeah. So venture capital finance startup, founded in June 2019, pre-COVID, right? Or just pre-COVID. And me joining then in January 2020. For those who remember, 14th of February 2020 was when the shutdown happened in Germany. We actually opened the property on the 13th of February in Prague, and I was on the last train back home before the border shut. Long time ago, and back then I did everything from pre-opening, opening, standard setting, helping defining the tech stack on the operational end, checking rooms, hiring a team, whatever was needed, right? It was all hands on deck, and basically then grew the organization and built matrices on what roles do we have, what tasks are there actually. And I think what was really particular at Numa was this approach of what is our challenge, really analyzing it, looking at the data, looking at the resources, the opinions, and then what's the solution which is in the market? Do we like it, or do we want to do something else? And we had that approach on everything, on how to structure a team, on what tech stack to select. Do we like what's in the market, or do we want to build our own solution, right? And this is really how it evolved. And step by step, we kind of built this first house and then later mansion, which became Numa, and we expanded during COVID very much. So in hindsight, COVID was a curse and a blessing, I think, for Numa, because we were able to operate with our lean structure. We were still small enough so we could pivot and be agile around the market circumstances. And there was obviously a lot of pressure on the real estate market as well. So there were some last-minute takeover opportunities which we could pounce on. Yeah.
Now, I feel like you have this fascinating background of operations, pre-opening, hiring teams, and the tech on top.
Yeah, it's nice to summarize.
It's such a very special mixture of really becoming a powerhouse operator in the hospitality world at this moment.
I think what you need to add there is the foundation is with Corinthia and Mandarin Oriental and traditional Swiss hospitality school, right? So there's a foundation of really what luxury service could be or what's luxury hospitality. And then I always wanted to do openings because if you need somebody to run a daily business, it's not me. I'm there for establishing change, building structure, hiring teams. That's what I enjoy doing, and where you can grow and where you can learn. And I've done the lifestyle angle. So I've seen there's a wide foundation out of the traditional or established hospitality industry. And then with my Numa stint, that brings another dimension and a tech-driven dimension on top of it, plus that rapid growth we had at Numa of at the end nearly every 10 days in opening in 2025. It's obviously then a different dimension on how to make decisions, how to empower, how to scale operations. And I think that's sets me up for many challenges in many industries. Yeah.
Anyone who's entering, let's say, their career after going to study hospitality, and especially in the era of AI, what is something that you would always recommend?
First of all, to anybody entering hospitality or at the beginning of their career, ask the question why as many times and as often as possible, especially in certain senses like we are in now, where we see uprising of AI, there's a massive shift in how things are done, in how the industry is developing, where the value add is going to be in the future, et cetera, et cetera. So especially in this uncertain, unestablished circumstances, I think the question why will help you with a lot of perspective and will open doors to so many opportunities, because uncertainty in my eyes, if you believe in yourself and your own skills, are always opportunities rather than threats.
Now, we in the past have also talked about how important it is to find your passion when you're looking to dive into a career, but also a balance.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for young career goers for that, or old career goers, honestly?
I think it's a general thing.
Yeah.
Do something you like, right? I think we all have heard that saying, if you do something you like, you're never working, right? So I think don't look at where is the best paycheck coming from, or don't look at where do I have the best work-life balance, or where do I have the most stable work situation. I think if these are the criteria which direct your career decisions, especially at the beginning of your career, then you're going to be A, not successful, and B, not happy about it. And I think those two are correlating a lot. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I also feel like you should know what's most important for you long term. Are you a learner? Then you should look for an opportunity where you can learn a lot
yeah.
and maybe have a mentor to help you learn.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. It's really, you need to decide what you want, and rather than what you want in terms of benefit, look at what do you want in terms of, to spend your time with, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to doing? What do you want your time spent on a day and out, and what inspires you? What can you fill with passion? And I think if you bring that passion and that approach to really enjoying doing something, then you will automatically be good at it. You will be recognized at it, and you will be able to grow in it. And if you then bring a certain element of curiosity and asking why and challenging the given, then I think there are only very few industries which are more innovative and more offer you more growth opportunities in hospitality. I mean, it's a global industry. You can go everywhere, from your simple rural bed and breakfast to your ultra luxury high end, through your fully automated properties, through the entire hospitality tech industry. There's such a wide array of careers possible. There's only a few industries that bring that many facades with you.
I fully agree. And I feel like in my career, I have tried a couple times to leave hospitality.
Yeah.
And whenever I try to leave, I am drained of energy and I just come right back.
Yeah, I think in the industry, you bounce a lot of each other, right?
Yeah.
Because you tend to have people who are passionate for people, right? Who are
Yeah.
outgoing. And that really inspires and creates a spiral of energy. I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
Going back to mentoring a little bit, this is something I think that is very important for anybody to have a mentor at some point in their life. It can be such a game changer. One thing I've noticed as I've been talking the past months with hoteliers of all ages is that the age group above 40, they all state they had some strong mentor in their life early on that really guided them and pushed them in a direction. Where anyone under that age, there's a lower chance that that's happening from what I'm hearing. Do you have an idea of what's going on there?
I mean, first of all, I'm 39, not 40 yet, right? So I might be just at that border and be able to have a glimpse into the buckets you opened there. I think I had mentors in my life. but I would not put one mentor out there as this was the mentor who pulled me along and dragged me along and was there on every stage of my career, right? But certain skills or certain facades of my skill set and my experiences were impacted by certain mentors. And I think that's exactly where the change is happening. Back from the very hierarchical step by step and you follow in the footsteps growth to really be a skill-based mentoring, right? So I can mention, for example, Ann Golden, who is the GM and VP of Europe and North America for Pan Pacific. She was the opening GM at Mondrian London, which is now the Sea Containers in London. And I was part of her management team. She understood it like no one other to bring the right people together to create that magic sauce in a team, in an atmosphere, also in management levels. And everybody was super dedicated and devoted. And you had the feeling, yeah, they hold you back, whatever happens, right? I think that was an ability she had with her calm but very decisive way of doing business. She knew everybody's name. She was really a pleaser, but on the other hand, she was damn hot on numbers and on the the other details. So one of an inspiring lady there, who I think I would call a mentor in my life. Others from early on in my stage, obviously around the university, there were some who had a guy called Luke Gomez, who was my professor for tech in business, even though I think what we did back then was how to use Excel. But that was in 2006, the curriculum for the hospitality industry. With him, for example, I had many conversations around how the industry is changing. And I would call him a mentor on developing a mindset to challenge status quo, to try new things out. Also, my recent time at Numa, obviously, with Gerhard and Christian, the two co-founders, and Dimitri as a third one. Yeah, they opened a complete new perspective onto the industry, right? Suddenly I had a real estate mindset. Suddenly I had a tech-driven mindset. Suddenly you understood really right? Which is, I think, in the startup industry, probably the most loved expression, and in the hospitality industry, the most hated expression. Why is that? Because we are perfectionists in hospitality industry, right? We want to create that special moment. We want to have that perfect product. And in the startup world, you quite often say, I deliver 80% and the other 20 I figure out on the way, which helps you grow and scale and be efficient. But yeah, so I had these two hearts in my chest during growing. And I think that's where they mentored me a lot, and it helped me to find that balance of when do you need to be perfectionist and when speed of an essence, right? And I think back to mentoring, having those stakeholders or those mentors who teach you parts in your career or certain skill sets, that's really where the divide is. Also, because of our industry, or not our industry, nature of the generations coming now, they grew up with a mobile phone in their hand, right? This immediate gratification of a desire, this immediate opportunity to ask a question and figure it out. You have so many more opportunities now to get your questions answered. You don't need that one mentor who's guiding you, who teaches you, who brings all their knowledge to you, right? You have so many more sources. And I mean, you also see so many more diverse careers and shifts in careers, etc. That I think that traditional mentor game is still there in the sense of people inspire people, right? And people teach people, and people hand over knowledge to other people, but it's far more diverse now than it used to be in the past.
Yeah, I'm also reflecting on my own time. I can definitely say I had a very similar experience, but I'm not far from your own age, so there might be a correlation. And for me, it wasn't so much the answers I learned, it was more how to be a more authentic leader
Yeah.
and how to do it with better results. So when you were talking about this 80-20, I started laughing in my head because as a tech founder, I'm like 80%, let's go, guys. But when it comes to guest services, I want that 120%. And for me, it comes back to, okay, the product doesn't have to be perfect, but the team has to be engaged. They have to want to talk with the guest, with the customer. And it's more about the importance of emotional drive.
100%. I think it's really, and you mentioned it there, is a tech versus hospitality, right? I wouldn't even say tech versus hospitality. I would just say within an organization, you need to have the perfectionism and you need to have the spilled execution drive, right? In certain times, you need lean more to the one side, and certain times more to the other. But what really the art is to find a team which knows when to do what, right? So building a team at Numa, and I had players in my team who were perfectionists, but I also knew I need them in my team because then I can be the one who is the driving force and takes the calculated risks on when not to be perfectionist. And because there was the safety nets of somebody is crossing the T's and dotting the I's, right, behind you.
Absolutely.
So having that, I think, is something any organization could need in our industry. That shift is just more visible, I would say.
100%. I mean, that's also what we're building at Folksnest from the early on, so it tracks. If you could give one single advice to anyone that's looking to hop into hospitality or is thinking, I don't know if I want to stay here, what would be your advice for them?
If they're at the beginning of their career, 2 notes. One is, and the question was if you're 22, right? So one note was take more risk, do it, follow your gut, nothing to lose with mid-20, right? And those very stringent, clear career paths don't exist anymore. And I think they're not attractive as well anymore because you only know one perspective there. And this industry is far too multifaceted to only know one side. So take the risk. And the other one would be, and I already mentioned it, ask why. I think I should have been much more pushy and much more demanding in asking those why questions, rather than being in the situation that people want to mentor you and share knowledge, be the one who is enforcing it, right? And that's something I learned throughout my career. And I'd say I have always been the curious nature, but if I could give that advice to myself being younger, I could have been much more pushier. And have therefore had more knowledge now quicker.
I'm also just thinking about pushing, asking why. And I've had a couple of mentees, and the ones that I've really enjoyed are the ones who are pushing the boundaries, but they're coming with a solution of their own. Like, hey, can I try this? Why won't this work?
Exactly.
So I would say it's asking why, but also making sure you have an idea of, okay, what else can we try then? If it's not.
I mean, at Numa, I did a lot of interviews, and there were weeks with 10, 15 interviews. And for example, I made it a habit that any new starter was in the operations team on their first day, and they started remotely in all of Europe, right? And were part of my team. And I was not always involved in their recruitment process at the end anymore, right? Because there were some other mid-management layers in between. But I made sure any person who joined the operations team on their first day has a one-on-one with me. It was all the newbies, and I joined, and we always spoke about why, and we spoke about empowerment. And I think empowerment is a two-way thing, right? You need to give empowerment, but you also need to take empowerment. And what I always said is, if somebody makes a mistake somewhere, right, and those happens with humans, it's my fault. I'm responsible. Why am I responsible? Because A, I didn't train you, or B, I didn't give you the tools to make the right decision. So it's your job is to do what you want to do, try out what you want to do to the best of your possibilities and abilities. But it's my responsibility to make sure that you have the right tools and the right guidance and the right direction. And if I haven't given that to you, then it's my fault. It's not your fault, right? And I think setting that environment from the early stage on, especially as a senior leader, and living by that, I think is super important, because most of the innovative ideas we had in Numa, in the operation, most of the synergy effects, most of the standard developments, they happen out of the organization. They didn't come from out of my head. No, we had challenges on the ground, and they found solutions which are brilliant, and then we copy pasted them, right? And everybody got the praise for it. And I think that's what really drives an organization forward, and that what really keeps you on the front of your toe. And you need to find the right balance between processes, hierarchy, standards for consistency and for financial reliability, etc. But also don't overdo it and kill any form of creativity and solution-minded and ownership. Because the moment you do that, you basically are already on the back heel, and you're not innovative anymore and not at the forefront of the industry.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. It's a hard thing to master as a leader.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's a fantastic vision board of where to go towards.
Yeah, I think so. And it goes in waves, right?
Yeah.
So you have certain, during the lifespan of an organization, of a hotel, whatever, you have certain waves when you need the ownership, the drive, the energy, and you have certain times where you say, now we need a bit of control, a bit of discipline, etc. Right? Comes along with seasonality as well sometimes.
Seasonal is key sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, from how the people feel inspired, but also seasonal in terms of cash flow, right? So
Yeah.
there are certain moments you want to be ultra tight, and certain moments you say, you know what, now we can lean in a bit, right?
Thank you so much for joining us, Julius. It's been such a pleasure. For anyone who is curious about how to reach out,
I think LinkedIn is best to reach out to. Looking forward to some inspiring contacts. Thanks again for having me.